Hey guys, how are we? And welcome back to the channel, Masculine Dating and Development. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Yes, I've got a video that I'm definitely excited to talk about today. So, as always, I'm going to try and keep it as short as possible. But if you guys know me already, you know what I'm like. Once I get going, I just want to keep going. I just love talking about this stuff, and I love providing value. But so today I was really just going to make it, the LMS, so looks versus money versus status debate, right? But then I was like, no, hang on a second. There's another element that we're completely forgetting about here, which almost this whole channel was about. Not entirely, but game. So I changed it. LMS+G. The looks versus money versus status versus game debate. Raw truth and obviously my outlook from my own perspective and, my last, 2+ decades experience in this area, in this industry. So, all right, let's get into it, guys. Okay, so obviously I'm going to start off with looks. Okay, looks, do they matter? Okay, obviously I'm not going to sit here and say that they don't. Of course that they do. So when we're talking about looks, we're talking about, the symmetry with facial structure, they're looking for, when a girl on an evolutionary subconscious by level is looking at a guy, initially she's looking for health markers, right? She's looking, obviously, like I said, for facial structure. She's looking, for, health markers in relation to muscle mass, your leanness, your shoulder to hip ratio, which is always what they love, 1:6, right? Ratio generally. And if you've ever read any books on evolutionary psychology, they talk about that, in depth, right? And I've read that, the book by David Buss. It's quite an in-depth book, and it's definitely worth a read if you're ever interested in going down that path. So, there has to be a certain threshold. Like looks is kind of the gatekeeper initially. Okay, so obviously when you go up and you talk to a stranger or someone that you haven't met, initially all that they're actually looking, and obviously basing you upon is initially the looks. So that's the initial filter, right? So that is the gatekeeper to a look, to a certain extent. Okay, if you look a certain way, obviously you're going to get a bit more time with the woman off the outset. That's just, unfortunately, that is the way it is. Okay. And, I would like to go into, I'm not going to go into on this video, but I'd also like to do another video improving your SMV that's within your control, okay? So like, on an evolutionary psychology level, like I said, like what women look for, they are looking for dominance. They are essentially like looking for, the facial structure that actually presents and shows, a higher level of testosterone and dominance within men. And the thing is that like they do, like in relation to testosterone, it's like neck thickness, your androgen receptors around your traps, your shoulders and so on and so forth. They subcommunicate and signify to women that you have a higher level of testosterone. And believe it or not, studies have shown, obviously, women pick up on those pheromones. It's called androstenedione, okay? And generally, when you're within a woman's, close proximity, if you have a higher level of testosterone, they can pick up on that on a subcommunication level, and it actually allows them to become, believe it or not, more relaxed within 15 minutes of being in your presence if you do have higher testosterone levels. That is a known scientific fact, okay? And like I said, shoulder to hip ratio, which is what they really look for. Obviously signs that you can protect her as well physiologically. And like I said, she also looks for strong genes that can protect her offspring if you were to procreate as well. Like these are all the things that she's not aware of, that she is also assessing subconsciously. Like these are known facts, okay? So to say that looks are not part of the equation, like who are we kidding? They are. I mean, obviously for women, the looks equation is completely different to men, but we're going on women right now. We're not looking at the men. As I've said before, men fall in love with their eyes, women fall in love with their ears, and there's a lot of truth and validity to that. Yes, as I was saying, in relation to higher testosterone levels, they look, for neck thickness. Do you have a strong brow, voice tonality, forehead, all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It's like the Neanderthal kind of look sort of thing. It's kind of generally what they do look for, even though that they're not conscious of it, right? But the internet has distorted women's perception of looks, especially since its inception. So since the internet's inception, right, it has changed it completely. And what I mean by that is that women now, because in this digital era, right, all that women have to go by off the outset is obviously your looks, okay? So whether it's on dating app or it's social media or so on and so forth, all that they've got to go by is looks. So since the internet's inception, the looks has gone up a few levels, right, in its level of importance, okay, to women, because that is all that they are basing their initial response and reaction off, because of the digital era and the internet the internet age that we live in. Unfortunately, that's just the way that it is. Do you know what I mean? So again, I want to do a whole looks on improving SMV. I want to do a whole video on improving SMV around the looks area. So I don't want to dive too deep into it. But that's pretty much generally the looks element, okay? From my level of perception and standpoint, and especially women and science and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's move on to the second aspect, okay? And let's break that down, money. Now, what can money signify to women, right? Obviously, it can subcommunicate and signify power to a lesser degree, or the illusion of power. Do you know what I mean? Because how many men have you known that have money but they don't, express or show dominance or power? Like this, it's like the Richard nerd accountant as an example. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it can subcommunicate that. Mainly, it can subcommunicate, the levels of resourcefulness, right, which is the attraction trigger for longer term mating and dating, right? Obviously, in the early stages, a woman is not really aware of your level of status, of your level of wealth, unless like you're driving to pick her up in a Ferrari or something to that extent, right? So then obviously she has an idea of your level of wealth from the outset. But generally from the outset, she's not going to know how wealthy you are, okay? It can also subcommunicate to a woman that you're a certain caliber of man to reach that and achieve that level of wealth. So obviously it takes certain characteristics within that person and in that man, right, to reach those levels of wealth. That's just a given. You know what I mean? That really is just a given. Whether it be discipline, whether it be, resourcefulness, connections, like, knowing, how to invest, all those types of things, obviously, which will be important to a woman in a longer term relationship, right? As they say, side note, women generally chase the alphas in their 20s, the alpha seed, which we will get to. And then when they hit 30 and above, they start to chase more so the bail-mated provider. Because another thing is also that you need to also remember is that when women generally ovulate, this is crossing back over to the looks area again, just side note quickly, that when the women ovulate is that they are generally chasing the alpha seed. They're seeking out the most dominant, strongest alpha seed figure, right, that would protect and serve, their offspring long term, okay? Side note. Now coming back to money. Women don't look at money as the same way as men do. Like, that's just the reality, okay? Women look more at money as from a perspective of, protection, stability, security. You can take care of them. You give them more freedom of choice, okay, to do and live a certain lifestyle. Whereas men, like, you know, we look at money as like, you know, it's power, signifies status, you know, it's more egocentric and ego orientated, right? Women don't really look at it that way unless you're dealing with a gold digger, okay, obviously. But like honestly, what is the reality of money in dating? And like, I'll give you my honest opinion and my views, right? An example, let's use this analogy, okay? Let's say right now, okay, you've got your life, but someone just drops all of a sudden $1 million in your bank, okay? Today, how would that change you and how you interact with women and how you date women? How is that going to improve the way that you communicate with them? How is that going to improve the way that you lead with them? How dominant you are, right? How much experience you have, how much sexual experience you have. How is that going to change anything? The only thing that it can really do when you break it down, like, let's be honest, to a degree, it can change how you move through the world ever so slightly. You might move through the world with a bit more confidence, knowing that you have a bit more financial stability. That's the truth, right? But the reality is that it's not really going to change your dating life in such a way that it magnifies it times 100. You might be able to move to, say, a more highly populated area where women coexist, right? And you have a lot more walk-through traffic, a lot more volume. You could do that, okay? Money will give you that. It will, definitely will. But the reality is it's not going to change your life to the extent that you think it will. It is part of the cog in the wheel, but is nowhere near the biggest part of the cog of the wheel, okay? So that is my take on money in relating, right? Okay. Also, before I move on, another point that I'd also like to bring up in relation to money is that you should never at the start, and this is where a lot of guys go wrong with money at the start, because they attract a particular woman because they lead with their wallet. They shouldn't know whether you're wealthy or not. But the only way that they're going to know is, like I said, if you're flaunting at the start, you're talking about it, you're pulling up in $500,000 cars, you know what I mean, you're splashing all this money around, that's how they're going to know at the start. And those particular types of women are not the women that you really want to attract, right? You do not want to be with someone that is with you for your money. No, you don't. This is why you never leave with your wallet. Because when you do leave with your wallet, you subcommunicate to the woman that you are not enough as a man, right? If, let's say you lost all your money today, right? A man that has built his wealth up and his confidence and is a full encapsulated rounded man, if you lost his money today, yeah, it would hurt. It's going to hurt. We know that, right? But he knows that he is just enough on its own. And the man that he became in the process is really the man that she is attracted to. And the money is just a byproduct of that, okay? Don't forget that, guys. Never forget that. Never lead with your wallet, okay? Do not do that. Okay, status. Now, status, realistically, out of those three, can and could be the most powerful of all three. Like, I would go as far as say it definitely is, right? It definitely is. And the reason being is because it proves and shows pre-selection through social proof, okay? The reality is that women want what other women want, okay? And if you're up a higher rung, on a higher rung within the social hierarchy, right? Well, then that proves to other women, right, that other women want you. And like I said, women want what other women want. Okay, and therefore it also triggers attraction triggers within her, right? And also it also speaks, it subcommunicates to her that you have a certain level of value within your social network, within your social circle, okay? It conveys confidence to a degree within a social hierarchy. That's true. And status can also sub-communicate power, that you have a level of power. Like, give an example, like, you know, a specific, you know, guy that's in a rock band that's, you know, extremely popular. A lot of people know him. Like, he might not have $2 to rub together, right? But at the end of the day, he's still able to pull a lot of women. And that's generally because, well, it's not generally, it is because the level of status that he has within the social hierarchy. And it also, like I said, it does signify power to a lesser extent, which is a massive attraction driver for women. It really is. Do you know what I mean? It really is. Also, status can also signify that you are a leader of men as well. Because generally people that have status are in those types of, you know, specific positions, wherever it's a CEO or, you know, you're a general, you know, in the army, or you're a sergeant, you're a captain, whatever. You understand what I'm saying? You're a leader of men. That can also signify a level of status. It can be status on social media. It can be status as an actor, whatever, right? An athlete, whatever. That can signify a level of status. But I can tell you wholeheartedly, right? Just because you also have a status, let's say you have all these things, right? I can tell you that I know one of the top guys, let's just say he's a dating coach, but he's more a psychologist and whatnot. He's very well known on YouTube. And you know, I've talked with him in the past over the years, right? And he actually said to me, he goes, listen, if I could ever tell you the people that come to him, and I'm talking like high-level athletes, celebrities, and so on and so forth, that still do not know how to deal with women, and they're still having issues with women, and still having dramas with women. He goes, you would not believe it. You honestly would not believe it if I told you who these people were. And obviously, you know, for NDA purposes and whatnot, he couldn't tell me, right? But these are high-level people that come to seek his advice and to work with him, right? Because they're having issues with women. You're talking billionaires, you're talking athletes, you're talking celebrities. Doesn't matter. Nothing excludes you from dealing with female nature. That is it. Doesn't matter who you are or what man you are on this planet. I mean, we can rattle off 1,000 names right now, can't we? I'm sure you know it. I'm sure you know many right now as I'm talking to you during this video. I'm sure you do. Okay, the number 4 to me, and I believe a lot of people, you know, that know the industry and so on and so forth, is game. It is, to me, it is the ultimate equalizer, okay? Yes, the other 3 factors and elements are very important to have, and you want to strive for all those as well, to be a full, rounded, encapsulated man, okay? But game. Now, depends who you talk to and what, you know, level of perception people have of game. But to me, this is my take on game. Now, game to me is all about understanding female nature, right? And knowing how to make a woman feel certain things and make them feel something, okay? Like, this is what this whole channel is mainly about, right? It's about becoming an all-round better man, obviously in all those other factors, elements that we've already discussed. But the game side of things is about understanding also yourself, right? But also understanding female nature. That is entirely what game to me represents and signifies, okay? Now, to give you an example of game doing its magic, right, so to speak, and you've seen it work. Like, I know myself, and I know that everyone watching this has known someone throughout their lifetime, their life period, okay, where you've got a guy, let's say he's, you know, attractive, like his average attractiveness, right? Because remember that with women, you have to meet a certain looks threshold. That's a fact. Once you meet that certain looks threshold, then she can make up her mind whether or not that she likes the other attributes about you or not. That's where we are different with, obviously, the male gaze to the female gaze, right? So, you know, this guy, he meets the certain looks threshold, okay? But let's say he's broke, okay? He doesn't have his shit together, as an example. He could be potentially living at home, right? Could be back at home with his mum. It could be back at home, you know, in his basement, whatever it is, okay? Whatever it may be. And these guys, and I know that we all know these people because I have, and I'm sure you have as well throughout your experience. These guys still pull women. They still do it. You know why? One, because they don't care. They're detached, right? They've done it for a very long time. Their central nervous system is so relaxed, okay, that they've been through this process that many times that it subcommunicates to women that he has been with many, many, many women throughout his lifetime, okay? And because he's detached, he doesn't care. And that's what they pick up on, right? But the biggest thing is that between a guy that has all that, right? All those other factors. He has looks, he has money, honey, he has status, right? But he doesn't know how to make a woman feel anything. Well, then that is always going to be the common denominator between the two. These guys can still do it. They still pull women. And I know that you would have stood there at times and thought to yourself, what the hell is going on here? How is this guy still able to do this and facilitate this process with women, right? We know it's true. We know we've seen this with our own eyes, right? And that right there is a prime example, right, of how a game can be the ultimate equalizer. Because you know these guys. I have known these guys throughout my lifetime. I've probably potentially been one of those guys. I can tell you right now, myself and other people that have been in the industry a long time and whatnot, is that they'll probably tell you the best runs that they've ever had in the game, right, in relation to bodies and so on and so forth, is when they've been probably not working and, you know, broke and little to no money, because you got more time too, right? You got more time to dedicate this to this part of your life, if that's what you want to do. This is what it comes down to. If that's what you want to do, okay? And if that's what you want to do, and that's something that you want to build in this area of your life, then so be it, okay? But my point being is that we know these guys. So we know that understanding female nature and understanding game and knowing what to do and when to do it, and how to behave and how to act and how to be so calm and relaxed, confident body language, being the most confident man in the room, having irrational self-confidence, right? Talking to as many women as possible. That's also another factor that makes someone that's really good at game and not, is that the guy that's really good, okay, at the game is that he just talks to more women. Go figure. He talks to more women than the guy that doesn't. Yes, we've already been through certain frameworks and structures and whatnot. I'm digressing a little bit, but I really wanted to expand on this last bit, because to me and everyone else that understands is that it is the ultimate equalizer. Game is the ultimate equalizer. Yes, it is, man. So yeah, I'm super stoked with what we've gone over so far. I know this video's gone on, as I always say. It's gone on for a while, but I know I keep reiterating it, but I just love providing value, and I want to give value to you guys. You know, that's why, you know, I go through and write all these notes down in my own words and my experience and what I've seen and what I've experienced over the last, you know, decade, 2 decades, you know, however long I've been on this earth, right? And that's why, you know, I do my best to package it up and present it to you guys in the best way possible, so you've got a better understanding of, you know, especially in this format of what we're talking about, the looks versus money versus status versus game debate, okay? But yeah, guys, also I just want to say I really appreciate everyone watching my content. I'm super stoked. Everyone that's subscribed, yeah, I appreciate you all. Like and everyone that's commenting, like I'm super stoked. I'm just like, I'm here. I know I keep saying it, but I'm here to add value. I'm here to give. Do you know what I mean? So I'm very appreciative from the bottom of my heart for everyone that's, subscribed already, and everyone that's watching, that's commenting and liking my videos and sharing my videos. Thank you. I'm very, very appreciative. And, it also just continues to give me the drive and the passion and the want to, put these videos together and put the shorts out there and just give back and just help in any way that I can. Okay. So yeah, I just really didn't want to finish the video without talking about that. So like, comment, subscribe, which you've been doing anyway. So I'm very grateful, super grateful from the bottom of my heart. Write in the comments your experiences, what you agree with, what you disagree. We're a family, man. We're working together. We're working together to build each other up, right? Nothing's right or wrong here. And let's have a discussion about, what areas you think you may need to improve on, or what areas you may have put too much focus on, which have affected other areas, and so on and so forth. But this is my general breakdown, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys. All right, guys, as always, I've gone on long enough. But it's the weekend here, so I hope you have a great weekend, whatever you're up to, whatever time you're watching this, no matter where you are in the world. And let's move forward, let's push these boundaries, and I look forward to hearing all of your experiences. I really do. I look forward to it. All right, guys, you take care, all the best, and I'll talk to you soon. All right, take care, bye.